Great. No, that's awesome. So here's some of the things that people can do. We can certainly go into more detail on this. I know we're coming up on time, but I wanted to see, Jeff, do we have any other questions? Let me just look and see. So I see a question here from Brooke that says, how would you measure your success in being a recruiting culture? And once established, train others to participate? Yeah, I think that's a great question. It's all about recruiting. We're all about measuring. So some of the things that if you look holistically at the recruiting culture, the way you're going to measure your success is going to be a couple of ways. One, certainly is going to be on the hiring side. That's the easier part. The other thing is going to be on, are you retaining people, right? Are you still recruiting internal people to still love and want to be part of the company and part of the mission? So looking at the retention, looking at what your brand is, are people engaging and interacting with your brand? What are some of the other, what's your internal engagement? Some of the tools are already in place, right? Most companies have an employee engagement survey that they do. You can look at promotion rates. You can look at internal movement rates. Those are all metrics that you would look at that already exist, that you don't have to go create something new to understand kind of how you're doing. And you can do it on both the recruiting side, the hiring side, looking at those numbers, conversion rates, how many people are converting from either a college recruiting program or from your outreach, and then retention rate, how many people are retained, and even the boomerang rate. The boomerang is where someone leaves a company and they come back. So how do you look at at numbers like that? Man, it was a great place, I want to be back there, because I think retention starts with recruiting. And Chris, I don't know what your thoughts are.
The way I would answer that question, how do we measure the success of a recruiting culture? And I'll just share with you how we measure it today. We measure it by engagement. How many people are in our pipeline that we know that we would hire today if we had the right job, right? How many of our execs are engaged in the talent scouting process? Meaning, if they're engaged, then they understand and they've been trained and they have been coached around recruiting and developing relationships. Those are huge things. All of that, and this is the thing to keep in mind. Talent scouting is not a reactive approach. It's a proactive approach, and it's a long-term strategy. This is not to be won in 3 months. It's even not to be won in 6 months, right? This is the thing that if you are trying to shore up your talent in the long term for the future, this is the type of thing that the whole organization adopts. And eventually you start seeing the talent scouting hires come in, and you see the impact of those hires. But it's not something that if you're thinking in a reactive mindset, it's not going to work for you. It's really a long-term approach.
Yep. No, I think it's a great point, Chris. Well said. I really want to thank you for joining today and sharing such great insight. Want to thank everybody everybody for being here and showing up and participating. It's certainly, if you have any questions or anything you need, definitely reach out to Chris or I, and we'll make sure our contact information is available. Before we end, I want to just check, Jeff, do we have any other questions?
No, we're good.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
Take care.